Hi, Mason Rowley, WVCW's music director, here talking with AJJ, here on tour at the Broadberry promoting their 8th studio album, Disposable Everything. First off, just if you all could introduce yourselves to the people at home and tell us how you're feeling on tour so far.
Sure. Hi, Mason. My name is Sean Bonnet. I play guitar and sing in the band AJJ, and I'm feeling a little bit stuffed up today because it's the air is smoky. Other than that, feeling good.
Hi, how's it going, Mason? Thanks for having us. My name is Ben. I play bass in AJJ and feeling pretty good on tour today. Thanks for asking.
All right. I'm Preston. I play guitar and I'm feeling alive.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Obviously, the thing about this being stuffed up isn't that great, but you know, what are you going to do? So your new album, Disposable Everything, sort of takes a detour from your previous output in that it seems like you guys have been getting progressively more sort of lo-fi up to the sort of really distorted noise of the Bible too. This one seems to be a lot cleaner, a lot more nicely produced, but not without sacrificing any of the charm of your compositions. What led to that sort of production decision in the studio to make it sort of cleaned up?
I think a big part of it was the person that we chose to produce the record is a very dear old friend of ours named David Yurkovich, who knows how to record things really in a really pristine way, but because he's known us and our band for so long, he was able to kind of preserve the playful nature of our band while also like being able to kind of make us sound, you know, better than we've ever sounded before. But a big part of that also was the studio that we recorded the basic tracks in. It was like this really gorgeous room where you could turn a blender on in that room and it would somehow sound musical.
I would also add that Kevin Higuchi played drums on this record. He's been playing with us for a while, but this is the first album we've recorded with him, and I think he has a very precise and he's a very capable drummer, and he's very precise. So I think like that also lends to it sounding like a very together record, is because we had a very, not to say we haven't had together drummers in the past, but he is especially together.
And the songwriting on the record seems to primarily take sort of this position of like sort of grief in like a lot of different forms. There's grief from, this is your first record post-COVID. Your last record, Good Luck Everybody, released in an almost comical January 2020. And sort of grief for COVID, grief for the world, which is especially relevant with the air as it is right now. Do you find, especially with your earlier music, being a lot of channeling of very almost negative emotions into sort of a positive, well, not necessarily a positive place, but like a very musical place, do you find that it's been the same process throughout your career of writing negative emotions into songs? Or is this sort of a different scenario altogether with the bigness of it?
I think you're probably on the mark. Making sad music sound happy, or sad songs, sad ideas, kind of being presented in like a major key in a way that one can sing along has kind of been our bread and butter for a long time. Where we change it in other areas, but this is a pretty griefy record, but it's also the happiest sounding one still. Just like, maybe it's the high peaks and the low valleys. Like the songs get sadder, but they sound happier. So it's just like getting wider, like a piece of taffy that you stretch.
And instrumentally, how did you all approach that when you went into creating that record? I don't know how you guys go about songwriting as a group, but was it like, we're going to go into this, with the intent of making a happier sounding grief record, or was it just going to the studio like normal?
I don't know. I guess it wasn't entirely premeditated or intentional, but I think that is just kind of, if you played in the band long enough, you kind of understand when the sonic elements are matching in a way that feels right with the lyrical content. And like Sean had mentioned, usually like we try to, if we're going to go kind of dark on one side, then we'll go a little light on the other side, sort of. So that was, I think that's something that just kind of at this point now comes naturally as we're completing songs.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily know if like with when each batch of songs are written, we just kind of like really try to do the best that we can with those songs, more than like necessarily like deciding, like a lot of times when we make the album, like it's a matter of like figuring out what the album is. You don't necessarily so in that sense, like hasn't really changed. Just like, all right, here are the songs, serve them the best as best as everyone can.
Hey, would you like to introduce yourself if you have any comments to say?
Yeah, I'm Mark. I play cello and synth in the band. And yeah, it's along those lines of like, it's never really like premeditated. Like we did for this record, we did a lot of Zoom calls, or not Zoom. I'm not advertising for Zoom. We did a lot of calls. Internet video calls where we would like basically have homework for the week, where it's like, okay, this week we're going to talk about like these 2 demos and sort of like feel it out. And then we had a bunch of COVID scares from Christmas, so we ended up canceling all the rehearsals. So we just kind of had that conversation as the starting point, and then just dove straight in without really time to premeditate anything.
And I guess finally about you all being on tour, obviously I assume it has to be a different experience for a band that's been in the game as long as you all have to be on tour post-COVID versus pre-COVID. Have you noticed, has something stood out to you? I know you haven't done a ton of stops so far on your tour. And also, I guess to attach to that, you all are sort of seen as like sort of a forefather act within your individual genre, whether you want to call it folk punk or whatever else. How do you all feel about sort of the movement you were a part of starting out as it is now?
Well, I'll say that before COVID, we definitely weren't the grandpas of folk punk. That's a new development. Yeah, we were young and spunky before COVID, and now we're ancient. It's like these like haggard lizard men. Yeah. No, I don't consider ourselves to be at the forefront of the genre of folk punk. I would say that's more reserved for bands from the 80s like the Violent Femmes. But that said, I've also gotten a lot more comfortable talking about folk punk and being a part of that discourse, because a lot of our music is definitely folk punk. If not fully folk punk adjacent for sure. But it's like a comfortable place that I can it's a nice dying of the light that I can go gently into. It's a good night that I can. Just kidding.
Somebody asked a similar question recently, and something that I noticed as far as before, after COVID, and we even toured for a little bit in 20. It was like after the first round of people getting vaccinations and stuff. We had some dates and we went out, and there was much more like masking and vaccine requirements and things of that nature. That's kind of fallen off somewhat, but it does seem like generally people are a little bit more enthusiastic about performing music and being an audience member to shows. Having had that taken away during COVID, where nobody can go see concerts or play concerts or do the thing, I feel like, at least in the moment, there seems to be an appreciation that people have and a gratitude for live music, both as performers and audience members, which is great.
You pretty much nailed it.
With that being said, I guess that's all the questions we have for you guys. I guess y'all have any fun tour food you like to eat? What are you guys eating in the tour bus? In the tour van, maybe?
Oh, man. I wouldn't say it's fun, but we've been eating a lot of Wawa lately because our sound guy Rick loves Wawa. We've been to about 5 Wawas in the past 2 days.
We had a good run there. We had some dumplings in Philly. Dim Sum Garden, is that the name of the spot?
Oh yeah,
that was really good. We just had Pearlie's here in Richmond. We had that for lunch, which was awesome. So yeah, I don't know. We're all. It's a great thing to have as a hobby when you're a touring musician, because you're forced to be in different places all the time. So to find the local spot, or even spots that you remember from previous tours that you can share with other people that weren't on those trips, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely had a really good streak. It was New Haven pizza, then the Philly dim sum, then What did we have?
We had ramen, really
We
good
had
ramen
really
in
good
Long
ramen.
Island.
Yeah.
Um,
We went to Shion's in New York. Like, yeah. So we're all about like
famous
the
foods.
We really like
Frankel's
getting-
Deli. Frankel's Deli in New York City was really good.
Yeah, we like getting like hyper regional specialties and like local recommendations and just like kind of exploring. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know, if somebody tells us a good place that we can just like go back to every time we, you know, once or twice a year, it's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for talking with us. Good luck on your show tonight. We're all excited to see it.
Thank you, Mason.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks, Mason.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Do we have a call line off? I don't remember. We're good. WVCW.
CW, we're good.
Woo. We cool?
WVCW, we're good.
Actually, We Cool is pretty good too.